businesses will either curate or die. It's absolutely not optional. And what's funny is, the narrower the subject gets, the more important curation is. The deeper you go into niche, into B2B, the more important curation is. So I think to not curate as a business is incredibly dangerous. Curation is the human process of gathering together a collection of ideas and links and things and making them a coherent whole. And so I started talking to people, and people in New York, people in California, people around the world, people in the Midwest, no matter who I talk to, they all said the same thing, which is, this doesn't work. Like, I'm just overwhelmed. So I started to try and think about what the answer was, and at first I thought it was filters. So I thought about filters. And then I realized that that word sounded like a machine. And really what I wanted was, I wanted you to tell me, here's an article I really dig. And because we're friends, I would say, you know what? I trust Magnus. I'm going to look at something thoughtful because he's told me to look at it. And so I realized that filter was wrong and algorithm was wrong. And the word that kept coming up was curator. Curation can be the active practice of journalism, of making things and gathering and writing, and which I do and you do, or it can be the more haphazard, like recommendation, check-in, Facebook like button, Google Plus, and that's curation as well. It's things we do in our daily lives that I'm not sure we think of as making data, but we are making data. And so if you look at how a magazine editor lays out a page, or a newspaper editor lays out the cover, or an author lays out the chapters in a book, some of it is science, and some of it's art. Some of it's the human decision to say, this table would look good if I put this piece over here. And that human aesthetic is the thing that makes the web not look like it was pieced together by a bunch of robots. By way of example, Google News, which has been, in some ways, there was this battle, Google News versus Huffington. Which is the better model, the one where the robots organize the page or the one where the human editors do? And Google News kind of quietly announced last week that they're adding human editors to Google News. So I was like, yes! Humans win, robots lose. It's very early. I mean, we've been at this. I mean, curation began as a conversation within the last year. There's only so many hours in the day. And we all have our jobs to do. And there are some days when I feel like I could spend my entire day curating Facebook. Not a very good business decision if I do that. So I believe that core to the web is sharing. I think that the more I share my ideas, the more people tend to reach out to me and I have interesting conversations. So I think for small business, sharing is important and curation is part of it. You talk to big media companies and what do they say? Boy, we'd really like to share. We think that sharing is great. We want our content to go as many places as possible. Because what they all found out at about the same moment is if you've got a blog about cartoons and you put a Simpsons episode on it and people watch it, you're a distributor. And as long as you don't cut out their ads, as long as they can play an ad over it and next to it or in front of it or wherever they want to, then distribution is distribution. So I think that the big change is that the web has broadly embraced sharing. And so the sharing ecosystem, what Arianna Huffington calls the linked economy, has won. I mean, that's, I think, maybe the big headline is, that is no longer a debate. They won. The answer is, yes, it's a buzzword. There's a certain common sense to it, which is, we know that the web is going to continue to get exponentially noisier. We know that for a fact. The amount of content going on the web is going like this, and what you've got happening now is more devices, more people making tweets and making video. So in a world in which there's way too much stuff, we're going to need a way to find interesting things. Video is the future of the web. There are more and more video curators. They're engaged, they're professional, they're serious, they're charming. If you're a television network, 100 people pitch you shows. You make 10 pilots, you air one of them. That's curation. You're making hard editorial choices. And I want to be clear, I don't mean video like couch potato, watch entertainment video. I mean, if you look at what's happening with the traffic on TED, for example, TED videos, every one of them are quite serious. None of them are silly. There's no like entertainment videos thrown in there. They're all quite serious. And people watch them in droves. Why is that? Because video turns out to be a really good teaching tool, a really good education tool, and people want enlightenment, they want wisdom. They don't want just entertainment. So I think video's got a bright future.